So the corrupted priest joins the party in Frieren episode 13, and as someone who was, a little salty, not in the way that it ruined the show, but a couple episodes back we got introduced to this elf, and I was like really hoping he would stick around. I just really enjoyed his character, but I understood why he couldn't, and the idea that you introduce someone who I immediately like even more than that man, and I was like, okay, I swear to God, if you guys do it 2 times in a row to me, you introduce someone who could be our potential 4th party member, because initially, I didn't really think much of it. I was like, it's just going to be Frieren and Fern, and maybe someone might end up joining extra, but I wasn't really associating it with, okay, even though they're retracing their steps, I didn't expect a party of 4 similar to the original party. But it's really interesting how they've now essentially built up this crew that each of the members, whether that's Frieren, whether that's Fern, or Stark, or Sein, the fact that each of them represent, in a way, one of the original party members, but at the same time are their own people. They're not just replacements, but there is that familiar aspects. And I think the idea of retracing Frieren's steps to make it to heaven, each of these characters have their own reasons to be here, of course, but introducing someone who is as cool as Sein is, but also feels like he was so close to just wasting his life and that fear of not wanting to take the final step to be a hero. I am so happy this cool mofo gets to be here because honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be able to put one above the other, but I will say this, no matter what, Sein does have best boy energy, and that's not a diss at Stark, that's just me saying like, we might just have 2 best boys and we're just going to have to accept that in this show. Full live reaction to today's wonderful Frieren episode though, over on my Patreon if you would like to see that, it's over there if you're interested. Now this was a great episode. We actually came pretty close to, ruining the show in a way I guess, because we literally last week had this amazing, depressing, but also heartwarming episode about Stark's birthday, and then pretty much right away, he almost dies. And that's not an exaggeration. Had we not had Sein in this episode, he would die. That snake didn't look menacing, bit him. Immediately I'm thinking, suck the poison out, like that's what you gotta do just to be safe. And then basically it's like, yeah, I mean, if it was soon enough, maybe we could do something. Had we not had this brother, he would be dead. And I think just the idea that so casually they could have removed Stark after what they just delivered is like some of the most funny, if not messed up things I can think of for a show like this, but goddamn do I love this series. And I think it's really cool because I wasn't expecting to get a new character in this episode, but like pretty much immediately once they get to the chapel, it all starts clicking for me because initially, we start this off with him sinking in, it's basically quicksand, but I guess it was just mud. But like the fact that she's just sitting there like, I don't know if I want to touch a dirty adult. And I'm like, girl, what the hell? I'm so happy Fern's here because seriously, Mama Fern is needed to keep this party from going completely batshit insane. But as soon as we get inside the chapel, it was like, okay, wait a second. We have our boy who has like an incurable disease for anyone else. Fern, Frieren, this priest, no one's able to heal him except for someone. And it's like, okay, we're absolutely building in. And I think what's really cool is the idea of how they use nostalgia in this show, because rather than just showing us the original journey and then showing us the second journey, which we're currently following, no, we know the base idea of what happened with Frieren's original party, but at the same time, we constantly get flashbacks, and I love how it's used as kind of like a mirror of what's going on in the current day without it feeling like we're just retracing our steps and replacing those memories. So the idea of like when the party came to recruit her initially, the idea of how they were able to pull her out after pretty much saying like it's been too long, this, that, and the third. We pretty much have the same thing going on with a man who is a gambler, who is a bit of a drunk, who is just smoking, and you think he is no priest, but he's a corrupted priest, but he's damn good at his job, you can't deny that. And I love the idea that Frieren was able to use her own experience of how she was helped to be pulled out of that slump in order to do the same for someone who has a lot of potential and also will be a great ally for their journey to reach heaven. I think it was really funny and just honestly amazing to just see how quickly things hit the fan when the boys are left alone, and I hope this is going to be an ongoing gag. Because Stark, he's innocent in a lot of ways, and I think the idea of pretty much him being like, oh, if you beat me in gambling here, sure, I'll come on a journey with you. I was expecting Stark to pretty much be stripped down to nothing. I just wasn't also expecting the same thing to happen to Sein because I thought he would be the one doing it as like a lesson. And seeing them both just in their underwear, just being like, man, what a wild night. You just know that this party, now that it's properly formed, there's going to be situations where Stark and Sein are going to get up into just such trouble. Mama Fern's going to have to come in, smack them upside the head, drag their ass home. Frieren's just going to be memeing. I mean, half the time, I swear to God, she's not taking life seriously at all. But I mean, her faces are just fantastic. And just honestly, I like the idea that, kind of similar to Stark and Fern, I think there's an interesting pairing in the way of like between Sein and Frieren that they complement each other enough, but they're also polar opposite enough to keep things spicy in the right way. And I'm not even talking about romance. I'm talking specifically like, you just feel like when you watch Stark and Fern, like they're always there for each other when they absolutely need it, but there's enough chaos energy between them that it keeps things very fun for the viewer, and I think the same thing's gonna happen with these two. And I mean, honestly, props to them for trying to rope our man in. Like, he just wanted that MILF energy, and I was like, well, she's like 1,000 years old, but she doesn't look like a MILF, right? Like, she looks young, and I love how he's just like, you know what, I can't. You might have the number, but the look ain't there, and he's just marching off. They're all thinking that he's just like some pure priest who just can't be swayed by temptation. It's like, no. If you would have gave him a busty 50-year-old MILF, he probably would have just been bowing and kissing toes right then and there. But she doesn't look 1,000 years old, so he has no interest. And I'm like, my God, this dude's gonna be absolute chaos. I'm pretty sure people are gonna be freaking out for the next couple of weeks over the kiss that she blew and how the fact that apparently it works on literally everyone. For me, I thought it was goofy as hell. I was pretty much with Sein. I was like, yeah, that ain't gonna work on me. But apparently, whether it's Stark and Fern or any of the party members, man, like, it does have power, apparently, but, that's Frieren for you. I really liked what they did with the brothers, though, the idea of, like, you know, a brother overhearing, you know, because, of course, Hyder came in saying, hey, you know, you should come to the capital, your brother can go here, and he didn't want to give up his brother's hometown and everything, especially after everything he lost, and I love the idea of, like, this misunderstanding and then getting that slap, right? I mean, the first time he's ever been really punished by his brother, but the idea that, you know, you have a friend who says, you know, in 3 years I'll come back, I'll try to get you to come on this journey with me. 10 years go by, logically you think he's dead. Like, that is the logic. But imagine, like, wanting to still try to push out of that comfort zone, both because of what your brother did for you, but also because of the fear of, like, I don't want to discover the truth for sure. And, you know, just there's a lot of issues there, like a lot of self-confidence issues. And I love the idea that we're all trying to go to heaven right now. And it's possible that Sein might end up finding his friend at heaven. It is possible. Or he might bump into him on this journey. We don't know. But these four are making new memories while also carrying the burden and the memories of before towards that new goal. And it's really well done. I don't think there's been any episode that has been less than flawless in my mind. And I will die on that hill. But let me know what you thought of the fourth member, Sein, and where we're gonna go now going forward with the, you know, remaining episodes. I'm so glad this was a 2-core, man, because I would not be ready to say goodbye by now, because this is where it would normally end if it was a 13-episode season. So thoughts yourself down below, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and hey, like I mentioned, we have full live reactions over on my Patreon, and while you're there, you also get a video shout out. Alright, so we got Blunskabulba, Hinokaga, Kovacs Adam, Ishta, Guy Valentine, Eternally Lost, and Millie Camp. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.